Yeah. I'm just gonna say something. I hope it doesn't come off like something that maybe is like taboo or like, oh, you shouldn't have said that because now people are gonna look at you like you're a royal dumbass now, or like there's something wrong with you. You got a horse hoof growing out the back of my head or something. Imagine that. Are you putting that into your imagination right now? A horse hoof coming out of my head? Well, that's not the case. That's not what I was going to say really quick. I was going to say that I have some very intense kind of, um, what do you say, grammatical error type of like problems, like disability type of issues. So it makes it really hard for me to read sometimes, even though I do read a lot. I read a lot more. I mean, for a long time. Uh, for over a decade, I've been reading a lot more than I used to. So maybe I live in a quieter environment, maybe not such a fast, like I get up, as soon as I get up, I hit the road, get in the car, and I'm gone type of thing. Now I get to kind of enjoy a little bit more quiet and peace. So the serenity maybe is very helpful. But I had severe learning disabilities, and back when I was going to school, when I was in elementary school and kindergarten, all that. Well, after kindergarten, not necessarily kindergarten, but I think it started right around first grade. They knew that I wasn't gonna adapt or be like with the normal class with everybody else, and that there was something wrong with me. I was um, autistic guy. Come to find out, what happened was I had two immunizations uh, that the government did to me because my father was in the military. So I can blame them. I can blame people all I want for it, but it sounds like it could have honestly been a mistake because it went overseas to Okinawa. That's why I kind of would suggest now that I have my mind more together now, I would tell people, I would say, um, if you're in the military and you're going to have a child, for their sake and for my sake, have the child over in Okinawa. Um, I believe that my parents or my mom, especially, probably did not want to have a child born in Okinawa, even though I would have had dual citizenships and I would have been eligible to run for president. But I believe that my mom didn't want to take various things away from me. She wanted me to take it away from myself. Whenever I became an adult, a person that could cop to the things that I do, I could put myself in my own misery. Not really. It was just a big misunderstanding. And I was immunized or whatever, and the stuff caused me to go fuzzy for years. So I was like, ugh. But that's okay because, time has, what do you say, preceded me. It's gone by to where now I'm aware of my senses are like spidey senses and stuff, but I still have the um, tendency to misspell and have missed a tremendous amount of of what do you say instructing or schooling growing up, and it was not my fault. It was not my fault. I go to school, and I was like, it was like how you hear that buzzing sound, the the bug zapper thing, kind of like it was almost kind of like that. It's in your own self and your own mind and ears, sort of. And what I remember a lot is a lot of buzzing, like buzz, and it wasn't like overwhelming to the point where you would just like you'd drop down on the ground and be like, oh, very frustrating. It was uh, frustrating as it was not knowing what people were talking about and not being able to communicate and basically be coherent with everybody else in the room. So just so everybody can kind of get an understanding of where I'm coming from. So that's why you probably should maybe not make fun of people because of their grammatical errors and different things like that. I see things differently, um, just kind of the same as everybody else generally, but it goes a little bit like a clock, like clicks a little bit different. So like usually, and I see something else, kind of like my own kind of like autistic kind of like way I perceive things now. Whether it being enlightened, being an enlightened human being with um, a lot more um, uh, intelligence. So I don't just have. I'm not just wise. I'm intelligent. I'm an intelligent person now. Also. So, anyways, we wanted to get to this political subject matter Saturday. I wanted to do a a video, and I wanted to see if there was a way that I don't know if I can make a video uh, not too lengthy, shorter than an hour, maybe like a half hour or something with everything that I wanted to discuss that's on my mind in particular. Um, Instead of making uh, different videos, I went with one title that can maybe fill and fit it all in there, and hopefully it won't be too time consuming and costly to everybody. So, um, so in my opinion, I'm going through my notes now. We'll touch on my notes, and then what I'll do is I'll give you a little bit of of more of my opinion on what I have listed on each thing subject, and then I don't have anybody to debate the thing with, so I'm going to throw it out there without a real line, debate punch line to this. So, in my opinion, from what I've seen, the Democrat Party gives you the worst possible candidate to offer. I do not think that it is wise to say that we do things that are costly, abusive to America is going to be overall, at the end of whenever we finally get to the end of our goal where we're trying to get to down the stretch, that we're going to get to a stronger America. We're going to bring everybody more closer together by, being invasive and intrusive and basically giving the worst possible candidate. um, Democrats want to act like we're mocking them and making fun or cracking on their candidate, but the last one they gave us was not even an American, and all they say is, "Oh, well, this guy they want to act like his birth certificate's all messed." Well, how come he didn't give an actual authentic Hawaiian birth certificate there? And they're making you skip the fact that he had to have, I don't know if it was his doing or not, but at some point he had given up his American citizenship status with his mommy, and went to a place, I believe it was Indonesia is the place, where at the time you could not have a dual citizenship there. And if you had a citizenship to enter their country, then you had to give up your American citizenship. And if you give up your American citizenship and you come back to America, you're not, in my opinion, you're not eligible to be the president, because that's not what my family was doing. That's not my history, and people like me were doing. They had U.S. government jobs. They were in the military or some kind of part of the government where they have honest people who could look you straight in the eye, and you know they're telling you the truth, and you can feel the vibe off them that they're honest people too. Probably why you wouldn't want to screw with um, honest people like that, because everybody's got to believe in karma. Like, what goes around comes around types of things. So you're talking about where I came from in particular is from the government. I came from the government, but I came from the military where people are supposed to know how to work together and do that exceptionally well, you know. So when the time, the call comes, you know that you're going to serve your country and your countrymen well. And, I don't have to bite my tongue, or if I have to swallow some pride or whatever I have to do to accomplish what I have to get done for my country. Other places and other people do things for their country. I'm not going to vote for a Democrat candidate who is working against my country and is working against my countrymen too. Would rather have them on food stamps than to have them doing something independently or private on their own. That's not illegal either. So, just to let you know how I fight, it's not even like I'm fighting them or anything. I'm just being honest. Like I said, I'm working in areas where you cannot be taxed in, and that's in food in particular. So I'm gonna be looking at the rest of my life. I'm gonna be looking at those different things, and if I have a big successful business, I'm gonna be looking at every which way they tax me. And if I was a billionaire and I had Walmart or some other huge business back when Bush was president and he gave everybody the tax breaks, you would be able to, for sure, I guarantee you could go back and look at my particular ventures that I did with the money that I held back, and you could see that I gave people more opportunity, maybe even thought of a way to give people all the medical, dental, and everything that they needed. Maybe that was a way the Bush tax cuts was to take that money as a business person and set everybody up with their own doctors and dentists. So to have people fully covered before Obama came, and then here we have it again, a criminal crook who is now taking everybody to the bank over Obamacare. So you have money or anything invested to put in to your insurance and your deductibles and your rates and everything is exploding so that Democrats can get rich. And hell, who knows how much money they get for their campaigns and where it comes from, Just forget them, We got to look at the Republicans and see what they're doing. So I have a problem with the Republican candidates. And all I wanted to say about them and their debates is too many chiefs and not enough Indians. That's all I can say about the Republican debates. Too many chiefs, not enough Indians. I appreciate Rick Scott in the state of Florida because he is a type of guy who is stuck to his gun and he wants to remain and be governor and help somebody else that's like minded like himself to aspire to be the president. Right now, I don't know if Rick Scott will ever try to run for president. The guy, as far as I know, hasn't ever lied. He's always said what he meant, did what he was going to do. But there is enough people out here talking trash about Rick Scott to where whenever you go vote for the next governor of the state of Florida in particular, we're talking about, you have a close down the line, like almost 50-50, like you did back when George Bush beat Al Gore. And all I can tell you about the candidate, Alex Sink, if all you people out here, anybody watching this video, subscribe to this channel. I know there's really a small few. That's okay. It's great, actually. I want you to know in particular, if you work, if you work hard, wouldn't you prefer your funds going to a more noble cause, like somebody who's disabled, if that's what you have to spend your money on? But that's not what I wanted. I wanted to bring in something and tie in with the the governor race in Florida when Rick Scott first ran. Rick Scott ran against the person Alex Sink, who was going to go after everybody's 401ks and all their retirement. So she would had, excuse me, caused Florida to bankrupt and go downhill down the sink, whatever, like California. So we would have had both problems. Florida and California would have been about the same uh, disasters, political disasters, fiascos. With Obamacare, they got death panels. So whenever you get old, instead of you being taken care of, they're like, we're gonna take care of these oldie people. You know, and oldies, whenever you get old, really, they're all the same, regardless of what color they are. They're the same. They're all old. If you're young, you're all the same. You're all young. You know, it's just like when I look at men and women. Women are like, oh, women gotta stick together or whatever, and then men have to stick together. So that's all I'm saying is we're all our own species or whatever, and I am really not trying to get gay or anything like that. I'm just saying we are all individual like that. We're not necessarily a race planet, but they break it down like we're a race and all this different DNAs or whatever. But obviously, if you breed, you come up with a if both people are um, fertile or whatever you'd say that, they'll come up with a product, a child from their relationship. So um, I've seen a lot of uh, look like beautiful people to me that were um, out of a mixed race um, couple or whatever. But um, anyways, so I'm just trying to figure out things and so different things I want people to be thinking about how they'll throw different things at us. And if we all work or we all do our own things and we're working towards a goal, and that's not to be taken advantage of and to do the right things and put everything in perspective and to be responsible. Um, you know, uh, I just want you to think about that in particular. We're all Americans and we're all in the same boat. So the Democrat Party will definitely, because they pander, they're panders, they're going to go to certain groups and be like, okay, certain groups, this is what we'll give you or whatever. They're not going to satisfy all of our needs by not justifying the ends or whatever. Satisfy the ends. So they satisfy or justify what they do in a radical way that's harmful and that's against people. So it's very inhumane. So um, and they want to act like I heard this guy. He was like, it was like almost like he was listening to what I was saying. This guy that I know, um, he said that we're all like strict constitutionalists or whatever, and we're back in the 1800s, when people were toting guns in a holster, and that's just what kind of people those Republicans are. But that's not even true, and I know that there's a lot of people that talk that smack that know the difference, that know that they're full of crap. That basically, you got a bunch of Democrats in a room, a bunch of liberals. They're all jerking off or doing something weird, really weird. A conservative walks in and they're all, woo! A conservative walks in the room and everybody straightens up. So they can go, fly a kite for all I give a rat's butt. So, so how is wasting money going to help America? How is all of the things that they've done against America, being that anti-America, that much hate towards America? You got people who are running candidates who actually hate America. How is that going to end? How's the end goal going to look on that Democrat Party when your Democrat Party strategy is the same as it is for every other candidate? They hate America. And you have Hillary Clinton up there running to become president, and you can prove that she hates America. You know, if you know enough about everything already, you already know that she's with people who are with a progressive type of movement against America. They're not for America. For what? For total annihilation, for total destruction, for the total decay of America. So let's put our military and all of our public people out here in more jeopardy than ever before. 8 years of Obama is going to lead up to something that's going to surpass 9/11, and then that guy is going to, what is Obama going to do? Is he going to smile? Is he going to be happy when America has another um, royal instant happen where you don't you hopefully a lot of people are not out in public when it happens, because it happened before, and people died. There was people who were on tape from that time, that period, jumping to their death from a very high point. So I don't know what people think, or whether they're bashing Bush like they do or whatnot. But I can tell you for a fact that there is weapons of mass destruction. There were in Iraq, and at the time when we invaded the place too. So how the media and the Democrat Party covered up the fact that Bush was right, because you got to think every 4 years they got to try to get that guy out, even no matter how inconsiderate the candidate is going to be, to put America and all of us Americans in jeopardy the way that they do. They are strong and steadfast in replacing our Republican candidate with people who are our Republican candidates all across America with with nonsense, with people who make no sense. Obama, he makes no sense. Is he a serious guy? Do you have a serious guy who makes sense in the White House? This guy comes out and tells you, when the media is sitting there, finally the media is asking him, well, it seems like it's really kind of screwed up what you're doing there, Obama. What do you got to say about that? And here Obama goes, it's the only way that could possibly be done. The only way that we can do this and get this done right is the way that we're doing it now. Duh. Wow, you're really smart. You're really a smart guy. You told us something really intelligent again, Obama. Woo! He's so smart. Oh, I love hearing him talk. I love hearing that guy talk. Obama comes on. Is he coming on now? No, my ears are out. My ears are out for you, Obama. Not, dude. I swear I have a set of plugs for Obama in particular. I have another set for the Democrat Party, I have another set for each and every individual candidate coming from there. And I am not appreciating career politicians, just in particular. So I wanted to address a couple of different things with the guy who I was. Really, next month, I think we're having the primary comes through here, and we get to vote here, whatever. And I'll go out and vote for one of the candidates, probably more than likely. But I'm having a problem with um, Trump's statement, and I just wanted, before I even went out and did something like that, I just wanted to say, um, I'm I'm sick and tired of politicians abusing their power and their oath that they swore to have our backs when they became the president or some other politician or person or whatever, and they don't have our back. They have special interest backs. They have the wrong rich people's backs. They'll sit there and talk about how these rich people are getting richer and richer. People, we got to vote for another Democrat so that we can tax these people more. Tax who? We're going to tax people who are moving money around. So it tax the whole community more again so that we can waste more money, be more abusive, and get each and every American closer to being in the poorhouse. So they'll have to ask for something from the government, or some reason they're doing that on purpose. It's power, and it's very corrupt, and it's very wrong. And if I could address any candidate, all I can say is I am for a revolution or a civil war or some kind of fight, and I am so much for that and so appalled against oppressing people and overtaxing people and taxing people without representation that I'll hang first. I'll let them hang me first so that the rest of my people that were behind me will finally snap and get it, and will kill you and will come for you. I'll take the first bullet. I'll take the first hit. I'll take any way you lick me. I'll take it like a man. I'll take any old way that you want to cut my head off or whatever you want to do. Do it on video. I don't give a fuck. I'll be the first person to fucking do it for a revolution of being overtaxed and being oppressed and have these vicious liars be able to run for president in my country, push for more abusive stuff. So instead of winning our wars, we're going to bring refugees over here because it's the American way. Whenever the world was all messed up before, we had to step back and step back and step back and step back until there was no other choice that we had but to fight our enemies, which I thought that was what happened on 9/11. I thought 9/11, September 11th, 2001, was Pearl Harbor all over again, right? So we went from that point, having Bush, to this point of being that much backwards and to having people believe enough of that hogwash to where they elected a enemy, a terrorist, to be our president in the United States. So Obama believes that 9/11 happened because of American policy. 9/11 happened because of evil people in the evil Islamic religion who wants to take over the world. That is the problem, and that's what I still today have an issue with. And I don't understand how people would be voting for people like Bernie Sanders or Hillary Clinton who submit or bow down and get on their knees and are like, oh, 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 like that to the enemy instead of figuring out a way for us to collectively pick up our thoughts and win the war and get out of there. The only way that we were going to collectively win the war and get out of there this time around, because of the way that it is out there, is by forcing the democracy that we were doing. You can listen to what Israel did and does and all this other stuff, but by the end of the 6 Day War, Israel won, but they still left people to be dictated to. They didn't give the same freedoms and democracy that's established over there in Israel to other people. You know, we did. We gave them that. We gave Israel the right to be free and to be their own state and country. And they're going to have their prime minister come up and say he's got issues with us and whatnot about spreading democracy and stopping oppressively offensive people like Saddam Hussein, which now brings up the topic. Now I wanted to change to a new line now, and I wanted to talk about Saddam Hussein. So it's evil that we went in and got Saddam Hussein again, huh? I want people, please, I hope you got your ears on. Saddam Hussein killed about 1 million people. If that is not an international problem, I mean, were you going to wait for him to kill another 50,000 or another million? You know? So, um, the way that they were going about it was wrong because it's like you don't have, the United Nations or the U.S. presidents or all these other people in the world and governments don't have the right to come out and tell the truth and say, look here, Saddam has gone way overboard, too much, too far. He's got to be taken out. It has nothing to do with oil. Yeah, we'll take their oil. It has nothing to do with, you know, spreading democracy or anything else like that in particular. The thing is the guy killed about 1 million people during his time of tyrannical reign as a dictator in Iraq. So he was, in my opinion, a super terrorist. We always talk about terrorists and oh, these terrorists and these guys, they're going to kill us. Saddam Hussein was a mega super terrorist. He was the terrorist of all time that would outdo and methodically think out all the previous saboteurs and just be the most diabolical mastermind, you know. So you have to have people who are able to combat that type of stuff, not surrender to it. Because I'm not gonna live my life on my knees for the government. I'm just not gonna do it. It just isn't gonna happen. So I have a problem with Bush in particular. Now that was my problem with Trump. So now my problem with Bush, I'll tell you what my problem with Bush is. My problem with Bush is he did a lot of good things, but still, by the time he left his seat, uh, left as president, he left it open for the worst possible candidate that you can aspire to become anybody's president. So it's like a spy or somebody who wants to get intel and all this secret information so they can give it to who they work for is your enemy in any country in the world. Have you ever heard of any other country electing that guy that is going through all of our secrets? And thank God for the fact that he's brain dead, pretty much, and all the terrorists. You could give them our tanks and our army and a lot of other things like that, and they would it would blow up. It would self destruct because the terrorists are working in hate, so they're very hateful minded, which maybe that's the reason why everything will blow up in their face eventually. And I just don't believe that they're going to win no matter what you give the terrorists because they're villains. They're pushing something for a vindictive reason, and you can't address the fact that unless they get a hold of that religion and actually do treat it like things are in the past where you stone people to death or you have this mindset to take over a country or a place uh, to establish Islam or whatever, and those people act more, uh, don't act vicious at all, then I believe that it needs to be addressed that those are the type of people that need to be eliminated from life, that need to be eliminated out. And I'm not saying we all need to go and take the law into our own hands. I'm just saying while we're able to have the law work for us in particular and still have a bit of a grasp left on our freedoms and our democracy and how we're protected, then I believe that it needs to be addressed that those are the type of people that really need to die because they're not civilized. So if the police, the military, whoever else conducts themselves and kills them off, that's okay with me because those people won't ever get a grip as far as am concerned. But I'm having a problem with the police right now too because they're not acting professional. They would take something in a thought like that, which is obvious. You don't want um, dirt bags in society, and if we're all working back to a job, we're all get up and go to a job every day or whatever we do, how we make money. Um, we don't want to see more bad guys in our way and in our face to sit there with a gun to hold us up and to take our money from us. And then when the cops get them, they ain't even no telling if we're gonna be, return have the money that was taken or items or anything that is stolen from honest people is ever gonna be made up for. And for the time that they took away your dignity holding you up. So if somebody like that is snubbed out and the police kill him, that gives me my dignity back. And plus, it doesn't rip me off like the abusive, tax drilling, sons of bitch, Democrat Party pieces of shits want to overtax us to death, have the guy go in a prison cell, in a jail cell. That's why I'm more for trying to clean up the police departments and make them all very responsible and just at most professional because we need people really snubbed before they can aspire to become the next president. And then the next thing, all based on lies, because they're allowed to tell a lie, they become a president. And I can't handle it. I'll lose it. Um, my sanity is on the balance of this political thing. So just so you know, exactly how far they push your brain. So you're like, oh, so I get all my rights taken away and I prove them right because they're intrusive and they are criminals and crooked politicians. So now I get abused even more because I lose it because obviously what I see is insanity. So then they get to say, "Oh, he's insane. He's an insanity person." I'm not going to allow them to do that. I'm not going to give them very much credence to be able to use against me. But I'm coming fully loaded with things that I'm going to say and give my opinion. Weed should be legal. Weed should be legal because it's offensive to have that right taken away from people. So maybe do regulate it like alcohol, maybe at that point. But anybody who is for that, they're for criminalizing people and putting people more so in prison for things that are so unnecessary, as much as people who are not crooked, who would not stab you in the back, who are honest, but the only thing that they're busted for or put in trouble and their life is in jeopardy now for is a little bit of dope or a grand scale of dope. So the more dope that these people are allowed to obtain and grow and have their self, the better. That's why I'm for legalizing it completely. And if you have to maintain a certain way from like a DMV, driver motor vehicle standpoint, because of people being intoxicated, inebriated, then you need to address it a different way there. But um, more means for people to be able to have more of their rights and things given back to them, and moonshining also. All of those exhibitions should be removed because they're criminalizing honest people who are not violent. And there's even some violent people who are now a violent criminal or whatever now, and it's all hogwash and BS because they're not really a violent person. They just react like anybody else would whenever they're pushed around or so. Anyways, we're gonna see another 9/11 happen again. That would be my prediction. Is that we're gonna see another 9/11, 7 to 8 years once a Republican, another guy gets in there. Um, then we'll see how that goes. There's going to be, so keep your ears and eyes and senses open. And definitely, I'm for if you see suspicious activity or anything like that, be aware of it. And definitely, I don't care who you have to call somebody if you see something suspicious. And you're not a bad person if you see something and you think it's out of place and you at least go and talk to somebody about it and be like, what do you do? Because citizens together work very well, in my opinion. They work as well, or sometimes maybe better than the police or the law enforcement if some citizens are able to look at a situation and then deal with the situation, but talk amongst each other and be like, is this a situation where we don't really need the police? And can we handle this right now? You know? But coherent heads talking amongst themselves, looking at the situation, is definitely a strong force, in my opinion. That's just what I believe. I believe people are powerful, but they're not using their head, so it drives me nuts when they're rioting or acting stupid and being ridiculous. It's crazy. So anyways, I'm kind of a little bit lost there um, on my notes. I had uh, I had one more thing that I had to say, but I think I've said enough. So thanks.